Yan. And then, para nakita ko kayo. Okay. Sent. Wait lang guys ha. Ano ba yun? Yan. Let me just share this to you. Okay. So you should be seeing my screen now. Nakikita na ba?
Yes.
Okay. So yung tatlong civilization na yan are the ones that have a great history together. So let's start off first. Yes. Oh, yung volume hindi malakas. Wait lang ha. Audio. Hello? Ito, mas malakas na?
Okay
Opo.
po, ma'am.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay. So yan. So let us start off first with the Greek civilization. Okay. So in the Greek civilization, if you will might know that these are the people who are located, of course, in Greeks. Now, here is the different maps of the Greek. So you have here, magkakatabi lang yan. So you have here the Persian Empire, lagi nilang kalaban yan. And these are the different Greek capitals. Okay. So actually, these are tribesmen who are uh, considered as all Greeks. So you have the Macedon, you have Thrace, you have Sparta, yan. Then Argos, Athens, yan. So those are the different areas in Greece. Now, if you're going to hear the word Greeks or Greece, the first thing that usually comes into our mind is the different, um, our different philosophers. Okay, wait lang guys, ha, may nagme-message. Can somebody please advise them na ano na lang, kung hindi sila maka-login, wait lang ha, message lang natin yung mga nasa GC natin. Wait, yan. Nagloloko yung ano eh, TBL Hub, nagmo-modify sila doon. Uh, Hopefully maayos na nila. Okay? So, yan. Okay. So yan. You can actually also download and copy that link on your notepad or on a Word document so that you can use that up, or you can also add it as a part of your bookmarks. Okay. So going back to the discussion, when you say Greeks or ancient Greeks, usually you'd refer to the famous philosophers. So take note that these are all philosophers, so they don't have an actual application of the scientific method. The scientific method was only became famous after less than 1400 years, 1500, 1700 years before after Christ. And these people have existed 300 years before Christ. Okay. So we have actually a couple of them. So unang-una we have Thales Miletus. He actually was made famous for the uh, theory about magnetism, and matter is made up of water. So that's his proposal. Then you have also Socrates. Now, he is actually the one who established the skepticism theory, which is one of the foundations of philosophy. Yan. So, importante po yung kanyang theory. Then you have also Empedocles. Yan. So, these are based on artist rendition, historical description of those people. Now, Empedocles is the one of those, actually dalawa sila. Later on, may kilala niyo yung isa. He actually proposed the four elements of matter. Okay, so hindi pa po yung matter na alam natin ngayon. So it's earth, wind, fire, and water. And he was one of those who proposed that. Then you have also Hippocrates. Hippocrates is actually famous for, wait lang, meron pumapasok. Okay. So when you hear the in the field of medicine, you might be familiar with the Hippocratic oath. So this is a promise or an oath that usually doctors take part or feel place them upon themselves that they will adhere to this promise to take care of the sick, okay, for health purposes. Okay, so that is Hippocrates. And then you have also Aristotle. Now, Aristotle is actually very famous in a lot of fields in terms of science and mathematics, but he's also famous for plant and animal classification even before the actual classification was made public. And then he also has an idea which is scala naturae, okay, which is a great chain of being. That's one of his philosophies. And the last one, for this group, we have Archimedes, the last one. So when you say Archimedes principle, you're gonna be thinking about buoyancy. He is also made famous for his contribution in mathematics, geometry, calculus, and hydrostatics and displacement. So yung theory ng buoyancy nandoon pa rin. Okay. Now, another group of philosophers, we have Ptolemy. Now, Ptolemy is famous for the geocentricity of the planet. So, Earth is the center of the universe. Siya yung nag-propose nun. Okay? Then, he also wrote the book, The Almagest. Then, you have also Democritus. Siyempre, Democritus, yun. Si Democritus, you'll have your um, atom. Okay? Wait lang. Yan. Okay? So before Dalton came up with the uh, postulates on the atomic theory, it was Democritus who proposed it first. Okay? That matter is made up of indivisible material called atoms or atomos. Then you have Pythagoras. Okay? So you have there the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, sa mathematics, alam na alam yan. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Then you have also Plato, which is had already talked about the planes, and he is one of those who siya yung partner ni Empedocles. Both of them actually prove that matter is made up of the four elements, yung earth, wind, fire, and water. So Plato and Empedocles. Then you have also Aristarchus, who discovered all orbits and axis. And then you have also Hipparchus, who was able to measure the length of a month. Okay, so yung actual na month na meron tayo ngayon, yan yung basis natin ngayon, which is actually the first one who founded that. Okay, so nagkonti, isang segundo lang siya off dun sa actual measurement ng isang buwan. Okay, so kung 30 days is average na lang natin na 30 days, sa kanya 30 days and 1 second difference. Okay? Then you have also Eratosthenes. Now, he was able to measure, or not exactly measure, he was able to calculate the circumference of a planet. So, ang circumference ng planet is around 28,000. Okay? So, yan yung kanyang calculation. But in reality, it is 27, 700. Okay? So imagine mo, they didn't have any technology back then. They are more on philosophers, but he was able to make a calculation that would somehow be very near to the actual value of of the circumference of the planet that we are using today. And then the last one for the philosophers that I have here in my deck is Theophrastus. Now, Theophrastus is actually the one who proposed about the plant sciences, okay? Itong nakikita ninyo, this was actually written by Andre Caseplini. Now, yung idea niya is again based on Theophrastus ideas. Okay? So yun po. Now, aside from that one, okay, we have also infrastructure. So an example of that one is the Oracle of Delphi. So it's actually a columnar design. So yeah. So if you're going to compare now the structures of buildings from uh, the Sumerians, the Mesopotamians, towards the Egyptians, then the Greeks, if you will notice, mas maliit na sila ngayon. Mas manipis na sila ngayon. Okay? So yan. Then you have also another structure that they have, the amphitheater. Now, although this is actually outside already Greece, pero ito yung nakasama sa ng ano nila, territories pa rin nila. Now, if you will notice, this is similar to the modern amphitheater that we have today. So sa gitna, you have your performers, andiyan dyan yung mga artista, and the design is actually acoustically tuned. So yung mga nasa taas na taas can actually hear kung ano yung sinasabi. Remember, wala silang microphone. Wala silang sound system. They just rely on their words, their actions. Okay? Pero imagine mo, malayo sila, mataas sila, but they can still hear the people's action, the people's words, and their actions on a drama. Okay? So always remember nga pala, pag you talk about Greeks, you are always dealing with drama. Madrama sila. Kaya nga lagi nila sinasabi, Greek tragedy. It's always a Greek tragedy. Lagi malungkot ang ending. Okay? Then here, another invention that they did is a dice. They invented the dice. Now, anybody could guess saan galing yung material na ginawa nila ng maging dice. Anyone from the class? Okay, Francis Marshales. What is the material used in creating the dice? Anybody who could recognize this one? Yes, John Patrick, Chokwi ko. Ha? Anong klaseng bone? Anong klaseng bone? Yes, it is buto. Anong klaseng buto?
Ankle bone.
Ha?
Ankle bone.
Ankle bone? Ankle bone ba yan? Anybody else? Did it come from an ankle bone? Anyone who knows that one? The Greeks, ha? Usually sa ankle bones, to sa iba, pero it was actually some of it made from bones. But if you're going to look at it, yun ba itsura na ankle bone? Mukha kasi siyang vertebra eh. Diba?
Talus po.
Hmm? Anyways, basta gawa siya sa buto. Parang ano kasi kung ankle bone, parang ang layo nung yung talus. Okay. Baka siyang vertebra kasi. Anyways, sige. Yep. Anyways, so let's move on. So that's one of the inventions of the Greeks. And you have also the crane. Here's another invention. The crane actually allowed them to hoist or put up a large stone materials. Okay, so if you recall the ramp theory of the Egyptians, di ba tinutulak lang yung mga bato para mabuo yung buong pyramid. Here, they are actually able to hoist it using these devices. Okay, so yan. Kaya nga nakagawa sila nitong mga infrastructure na yan. Now, another things that they were other things that they were able to invent is the catapult. Now, this allowed them to conquer other cities or fight their enemies kasi they are able to throw 300 pounds of stone against walls and buildings. Yan. Okay? So, i-release lang nila yung lever dito. They're able now to they're able to bring out, or they're able now to uh, release the big stones. Okay. Then another one that the Greeks are famous for are arches and columns. Actually, yung arches nila is based on ginamit to ng mga Romans as well. So they have three famous arches that they made. So you have here the Doric. So the Doric is the simplest. Okay. And then itong sumunod is the Ionic. Okay. Now, later na lang na-produce yung Corinthians. Yan. So mapapansin nyo, plain lang siya dito. Ito para may rolyo sa gilid. And then the Corinthians, you have there the designs on top. Okay? Now, ito yung majority na ginamit ng mga Romans na. Okay? So yan yung tatlong uh, columns that were used by the Greeks. And then here is an example of the Parthenon. This is actually their greatest achievement. Ito yung legacy nila. And if you will notice, ito ay Doric. Okay? So yan. Yun nga lang, the Greeks are having problems reconstructing the Parthenon. Kasi ito yung mga legacy nila, yung mga historical sites nila. May problema nga ang Greece to the point na nahihirapan silang in terms of economy. Okay? Halos nag-bankrupt yung economy nila and hindi na sila member ng European Union. Okay? So for those who don't know, pag member kasi yung isang city or isang country ng European Union, you can actually trade with other European countries without paying extra taxes. Kumbaga, kasama na doon sa binabayaran ng country ninyo yung tax for you to trade. So for example, nasa Belgium ka, makikipag-trade ka sa Spain, o kaya makikipag-trade ka sa Germany. So, ang babayaran mo lang siguro yung travel tax o yung transportation tax. Hindi mo na kailangan ano pa ng import tax o lahat ng taxes. So, lahat na yun kasama sa binabayaran. Okay? So, yan. Now, another thing that the Greeks have given us until today, although hindi naman natin ginagamit, is their alphabet. Okay? So, their alphabet starts with the alpha and then ends with the omega. Kaya, di ba, if you are a Christian, there is a excerpt from the Bible saying, I am the alpha and the omega. So, I am the beginning and the end. Kasi yun nga naman talaga yung beginning and the end ng kanilang alphabet. Okay? So, actually, this alphabet was also adopted by the Romans, which later gave way to the Roman alphabet that we are using right now. Okay? So yan. So kung hindi dahil sa kanila wala tayong masyadong alphabet na ginagamit. Yun yung ginagamit ng English, ng ano pa ba? Yung ibang languages as well. Okay? Except for those are different, using different sa writings or alphabet systems. Anyways, so that is for the Greeks, okay? So usually guys, when you think about the Greek letters, di ba ito yung mga nakikita natin mga pangalan ng mga fraternity, di ba? You have Alpha, Kappa, Rho, di ba? Yan. Okay? And then you have also Tau, Gamma. Yan. Di ba? Those are actually the letters from the Greek alphabet. Okay. The next civilization is the Persian civilization. So, yung tatlo ngayon, as I mentioned earlier, lagi silang naglalaban-laban. Kasi po, if you're going to look at geographically, Persia is here. Kaya dito yung Persia. Yun nga lang, Persia was able to capture the rest of the Tigris and Euphrates River. Okay, so naabutan niya na yan. Okay, wait lang guys ha. Palitan natin ang color para yan. So yan. So inabot na niya ito, itong lugar na to. Yan. Hanggang sa ano na siya dito nag-expand. Okay? Hanggang India. Okay? So ganyan kalaki yung sinakop niya. Okay, so this is Asia Minor is modern day Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. Yan. And here, then dito banda yung sa Romans. Now, actually the Greece was the only country na humaharang sa kanya, although the Persians can cross the Balkan region, pero mas madali kasi yung route ng Greece. para makarating sila sa Europe. Pero kung napasok nila or na-infiltrate nila yung Greece, malamang nagbago ang history natin. Pero hindi na nagawa yan. Okay? So yan. So, um, for the Greeks, for the Persians rather, so yan, puro wars ang dala-dala nila, and they were able to have some contributions. Now, take note guys that some of the contributions are also mentioned in the Islamic civilization. Now, we will go into that one later on. Okay? So, here is Nastaliq. This is the handwriting style ng mga Persians. Now, this is also the same handwriting style that was also adopted by the Islamic civilization. Wait now. Okay, so dalawa yan eh. So marami, at this is a Nastaliq script. So this is how they write. So if you will notice, parang mga espada, puro ano sila pa swing yung kanilang writing. Okay? Puro paalon ang style nila. Okay? And then another one, they have also the windmills. So yung kanila is not the one that we're seeing in Bangi. This is actually a vertical windmill. Okay? So what they have here is that since marami or malimit sila nagkakaroon ng sandstorm, why not maximize it? So they have here, um, this is what the top version or the top view of the windmill. So they have here a rudder. So pag dumaan yung hangin, iikot ngayon siya. Okay? And underneath then, meron sila doon na nag-grind ng grains. Yung mga trigo, ginagrind yon. So, gumagana siya. Okay, so they have machineries at the bottom. Now, this is actually the remains of the isa sa mga natira. So, the one that on top, isa sa mga natirang pictures or natirang vertical windmills nila doon. Okay? Then they also have brick. Okay. Now, although they have brick, wala sila yung mortar. Ano yung mortar, guys? Yun yung parang simento. It's actually the Greeks who invented, it's actually the Greeks who invented the mortar. Tama ba yung pagkakaalala ko? I think it's the Romans pala yun. Kasi sa kanila, pinapatong-patong nila lang yung brick. So, pag nagkaroon ng invasion, madali pong mag-topple-over kasi walang nagdidikit dun sa mga cement, sa mga bricks ninyo. Okay? Then you have also the yakshal. Yan. So you have here the yakshal. This is actually a cone na napakataas. Now, this is also known as an evaporative cooler. So malamig po yan. They actually are able to create ice here. So yan. So you have here coolers. Yan para pasok ng hangin papasok diyan. Okay. So underneath that, they have the kanat. So later on we'll discuss the kanat. Okay? Hindi kenat kanat. So ito po yung internal view ng yakshal. So you have here the ice, water, gagawing ice yan during winter. May winter din sa kanila. Pag nag-winter sa kanila guys, malamig yon. Then the ice will now be placed inside the yakshal and it will stay there. They usually can store a lot of things there as well. Okay? So what would happen is, since naka-dome shape siya, remember the structure niyang ganyan, pag ganito po yung style po kasi ng infrastructure nyo guys, based on physics, di ba, hot air rises, so lahat lalabas yan. Eh, lalo na't patulis yung dulo niyan. Ayan, yung dito, if you will notice there. Meron siyang bilog dyan, so doon lumalabas yung mainit. So ngayon, lahat ng malamig nandiyan dyan. So nagdi-stay doon yung kanilang yelo. Okay? So they actually place a lot of this all over Persia, in some places around Persia. So yung mga area na sinakop nila as a source of ice sa kanila. Okay? Then another one is the kanat. Now the kanat is actually a water system that they have built. So here you will notice, akala nyo para siyang ano lang, pila-pila ng bilog, pero actually butas yan guys. Okay? So they have a lot of water wells. Okay? And then what would happen is that it's actually able to get water from the underwater or underground water system. Okay? So, during high tide, so pag high tide, mataas ang water. Okay? So, nagkakalabas tuloy yung water dun sa system nila. Okay? Now, This one allows it to to cool down the water further. So pag lumabas sa kanila, medyo malamig-lamig yan. And then, pag low tide naman, so syempre, babagsak ngayon yung water. Okay? Kaya wala ngayon lumalabas yung water sa kanilang place. Okay? And then, actually, there's another usage of the kanat because the kanat also eliminates the possibility of flooding. So, pag may ulan din sa kanila, of course, pero pag umulan sa kanila malakas, di ba? What would happen is that the openings on top would actually absorb the water, preventing flooding on the plains. Okay, usually, di ba, nagra-run off lang yung water dyan. So, instead of mag-run off na, diretso na siya dun sa mga butas. Tapos, diretso na rin siya dun sa underwater system. Okay? Now, take note that this is actually handmade, guys. As in, people would get inside these areas and they would dig it by hand. So wala pa nung barena, wala pang kahit na anong drilling machine, all made by hand. And this is an intricate system. You will see that when we watch the video later on. Okay? Yan. So at the same time, another process or another thing that the kanat is good for cooling towers. Naalala nyo kanina yung sa gilid nung call this, yung gilid ng yan, click natin doon. Yan. So ito, yan. Kasama to dun sa cooling towers ng kanat. Okay? So although dumadaan yung hangin dyan, it actually allows it to have hot air. Yan. Hot air is actually released in the process. So yan. So your hot air passes through here and then it actually releases cold air in the process. Okay? So yan po yung nangyayari sa kanila. Then we have some examples of Persian art during the earlier times. So here, if you will notice, they somehow have a column-like structure. Now, always showing in their depiction are the bodyguards called the immortals. So if you watch the 300, yung nakamaskarang itim, those are the immortals. And they always have 10,000 immortals. Now, kaya siya considered as immortals kasi nga, the term immortals do not die, right? So, they don't die. So, if in case meron, for example, 10,000 yung tauhan ninyo, meron sila actually another set of 10,000 people na backup. Yun ang style nila sa immortal. So, 10,000 yung naka-front sa inyo. Now, if in case yung isa, so si kuya nagkasakit, so, hindi siya kasama dun sa parade ngayon. Tapos siya, nanganak yung asawa, so hindi rin siya nandoon. Meron dalawa silang substitute na papasok ngayon at papalitan yung immortals na yon. Yung dalawang tao na yan. Kaya ulit, balik sa 10,000 yung immortals. Okay? So lahat sila nagtitrain sila ng matindi sa magiging immortals. Kaya nga masyado malaki din yung kanilang area na nasakop. Okay? Next, of course, when you hear Persia, Persian carpet. Yan ang laging tatandaan. Yung unang-unang Persian carpet, ito po yon yung isa sa mga pinakalumang Persian carpet na nakuha nila. Sobrang tindi na po. This is actually the Pazrik carpet. Okay, that was actually 600 years before Christ. Ganun katanda na yan. Das ito naman yung medyo modern, medyo modern pa to. Kasi po, yung dito, nilalagyan na nila ng metal thread. Kaya minsan makintab-kintab siya, kaya yan tinyo medyo silverio ito. Okay? So this is actually a Persian carpet or a salting carpet that was created around 1600. Okay? So yan. So medyo modern na daw yan sa lagay na yan. Pero 1600. Take note. Okay? So mahal pa rin yan guys. Pag gusto nyo magandang carpet, you always refer to Persian carpets. Okay? Then you also have here a chickpeas. Now, a chickpeas, yung motif, yung nilalagay sa gilid ng kabayo. Okay? So, para hahawakan nyo yon, yung reins na tinatawag. So, that is it. So, ito nakalagay may nakatali dyan sa loob ng bibig ng kabayo. Tapos dito yung tali ng tao para hawakan yung kabayo. Renda. Then they also have pottery vase here. Actually, in this pottery vase, this is some sort of a animation. Persians were actually the first one who started with animation using their design. So pag inikot mo to, parang tumatakbo yung goat na to. Okay? Then they also have gilded dish. So they have included um, metal on their dishware. Yan. Okay? Then they can also included that on their water system or yung water containers nila. Okay, so that is for the Persian. So here naman we have the Roman civilization. Now for the Roman civilization, meron tayong tinatawag kasi nakasabihan sa English. I'm not sure if you are still aware of this one. Yung salita na, wait lang, forward ko lang yung computer ko. Kasi malayo sa akin eh, mahirap magsulat. So, pasensya na kung malaki yung mukha ko. Okay, so there is a saying back then in history. Oops, wait lang. Yan. The glory that was Greece. Oops, ano ba yan? Glory that was Greece. Kulang ng the grandeur. Okay. So this is actually a saying that is usually given out by literature professors when you talk about uh, Greek mythology, Roman mythology. So when you say glory that was Greece, it was actually Greeks who started with the inventions. They have come up with the letters, the columns, the designs. However, Rome adopted it. Okay? They adopted the Greek culture and made it grand. They made it great. Kumbaga pinaganda niya. Pinaganda niya pa, pinayabong niya pa yung mga Greek, anything that came from Greece. Okay? So yan. So one of those that they have is a common bathhouse. So here is an example of a Roman bathhouse. So medyo na modify na siya. Anybody could guess anong mangyayari dito? So this is actually yung CR nila.
Wait
This is
lang.
yes, yes, yes. Yung nagsalita, hindi ko nakuha. Sino yun?
Hindi ma'am, ano din, that's what I'm going to say din na ano po siya, parang CR, gano'n.
Yes,
Taihan, gano'n.
it is, yes, it's a common CR, common taihan. Okay, so usually when they come in, meron silang dalang sandok. Hindi pang ano ng kanila, kundi pansandok ng water. Usually they have, wait, sino yun? Yes, Sebastian, Ansano.
Ah, napindot lang po ma'am, sorry.
Okay. Sige. So, sa gitna, usually guys, saan masok yun? Meron siya isang malaking lagayan ng tubig dyan. So, in some pictures that if you're going to Google it up, may mga tao dito siguro. So, si kuya, nakaupo siya dan, doing their business, tapos may hawak siya dong sandok. Okay? So, sasandokin niya yung tubig, puhugasan yung kanyang puwetan. Okay? Tapos meron isa pang tao dito. Kasi common 'yan, eh. So, ibig sabihin, hindi sila yung gano'n kayayaman, okey? Kung mayaman ka, yung iyong bahay meron kang sariling CR, meron kang sariling bathhouse. One of the Roman bathhouse is actually located in Britain. Okay, kasi yung Britain po kasama yan sa mga nasakop ng Romans noong earlier times. Kaya nagkaroon nasakop nila yon, so ginawan din nila ng Roman bathhouse doon yung lugar na yon. Yun nga lang, hindi nila nalinis. Medyo iki-yaki yung itsura. Ano ba itsura ng Roman bathhouse nyo? Just to share. Yan. So here, let's see. Let me share this one for you para lang meron kayong idea. Wala. Yan. So if you're going to look in this one, yan, yan. So this is a Roman bathhouse in England. Okay? So, ganyan po kalaki. Ganyan po yung itsura ng mga bathhouse nila. So, para siyang swimming pool. So, everybody can soak there. They can do their thing. They can scrub themselves. Yan. So, ganyan po yung itsura nila. Okay? So, common yan. So, lahat magkakasama. Mga babae sa babae, lalaki sa lalaki. Nakatapis lang or nakatela lang. Then, pupunta dyan. Lulublob na sila dyan. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so let me just go back to my presentation. So pag nagkaroon kayo na ng konting barya in the near future, try to visit Greece, try to visit Rome. Yan. Okay? So yan. So that is the bathhouse. Now another infrastructure that they also have is the aqueduct. So ito pong nasa taas is a water delivery system. Now, this is actually in Spain. Okay? They are getting waters from the mountains in Spain and then padadaluyin nila yan dyan. Okay? So, dyan dadalo yan. So, inside here, you have the waters inside. So, may cover yan. Then, in Rome, actually, guys, meron pa nga nun fountain. So, imaginein mo, ancient times and yet they have fountains. Okay? Then, another things that they have yung mga roads. May mga paved roads sila. Okay, so this is actually considered as the golden age of Roman civilization because they were actually able to expand their location, yung mga nasasakupan nila, and they were able to make roads. Kaya actually guys, hanggang ngayon yung mga roads na existing. Now, aside from roads, they also have the arches here. Okay, so yan. So these are actually able to allow them to create large infrastructure. Kaya nga tingnan nyo dito, here on top, you have their layers of arches to support the waterway. Okay? Now, here is another actual, ito yung um, modern day picture ng isa sa mga daanan sa ng Roman roads. Okay, so imaginein mo, this is ancient civilization but the road is still there. Eh dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, wag na natin banggitin kung kailan ginawa. Pero basta binahan na siya, wala na siya. Lubak-lubak na naman. Okay? Now, another of their infrastructure is the dome. Okay, so yan, they have concrete yung mortar na tinatawag. Okay, so nakapagawa na sila ng mortar. That's why they have stronger buildings. Um, yung mismo sa Persian, although they have bricks, sabi ko nga sa inyo, hindi sila pwedeng isang pader lang, 'di ba? Yung pader nila kailangan makapal na makapal. Okay, para ma-withstand nila yung mga atake ng mga kalaban. Okay? So yan. But with the construction material, not concrete, that allowed them to create a lot of big infrastructures as well. So you have here the Colosseum. So yan. Okay? So people are usually entertained here. People come in, they pay entrance of course, and they see people fighting. So you have their gladiators killing one another for sport. Okay? So yan. So if you watch, you can actually watch the movie The Gladiator. Ano pa bang gusto nyo? 300, yan. Yung mga historical na mga movies na yan. Okay? At least magkaroon tayo ng idea what they look like. So people, they were actually making things grander. Yan. So mas maliit na nga lang siya compared dun sa uh, Persian, sa not exactly Persian, sa Egyptians, mas maliit na yung mga building, yung mga mas maninipis na yung pader nila pero stronger. And then if you will see here, they incorporated the columns also. Okay, so sa bawat katabi ng arch, they have columns incorporated in their Colosseum. Okay, so here is again their area of arena. Okay, this is an arena where they have sports, they have drama, so you have their actors. Again, they're using the same concept of the yung sa Greeks kanina. Okay, so they use the same then. Okay, so gumamit din sila no amphitheater type. Okay, so if you will notice, medyo mababa tong area na to, and then yan. Mababa yung area here and people are moving upwards. Okay? Yan. And then here is what remains the Roman Colosseum in Italy. Yun nga lang, nagkanda-butas-butas yan because of World War One and World War Two. Pero if you will notice, it's still there. Although they are making a lot of efforts to restore it, but ano, alam mo yun, pakonti-konti lang yung restoration, hindi naman full restoration. Kasi makikita mo pa rin, maganda pa rin na ma-maintain yung mga, alam mo, yung original materials na ginamit doon. Then another slide shows here, ito yung daanan ng aqueduct. Nawala na po yung pinaka-cover niya dun sa taas, pero ito pa rin yung daanan ng water. Yun nga lang po, because of natural calamities, a lot of changes, yung water hindi na po nagfo-flow doon sa aqueduct. Okay? So naputol na po yung sa may source, kaya wala nang dumadalo dyan. But the infrastructure is still there. Okay? And then of course, the numerical system. Because of the Roman numerals, yan, sa mga numbers. 'Di ba? If you're going to look at yung ibang calendars, they're still adding this, yan. Okay, so sa mathematics, during my elementary days, I remember having this. Okay, then they also have uh, surgical instruments. Remember, sa you have Julius Caesar. Okay, you know Julius Caesar, right? Julius Caesar was the first one to have the cesarean, tama ba? Cesarean operation. Okay, so siya yung unang ipinanganak. Binuksan yung tiyan ng nanay niya nung hindi siya mailabas dahil sobrang laki ng ulo niya, kaya na cesarean yung nanay niya. Okay, and every time we open the belly of a mother to give birth, and that is C-section. Okay, again, based on the idea in the ancient Roman civilization. Okay, then they also have fine glassware. Okay, although in some books there is a debate kung sino yung unang nag-start with unang nag-glass making, but some are saying it's the Romans who started with the glass making industry. Okay, so here are some more examples of glass making. So yeah. Any questions so far with the three civilization? Nan?
None po.
Okay, wait lang guys ha.
None po.
We just open, sana open ang TBL Hub. Wait lang ha.